got off the plane, we walked across the park, and jet rays and
saw what they were doing. She showed me the pages, and they put time into it.
yeah.
We lived in almost 2 houses on Lake and it started out as a ski lake. The other side
Just last week, I finally told text message. We never go anywhere. Just so happens that we happened to get told last month, and recent message popped up,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then we clicked into the newspaper that please, within 5 minutes, they were trying to drain our account.
Miss Cheryl.
The only thing that caught me is asking for my credit card information, and it continues to ask for my
We're on our way.
and I was like, what?
I said
And
we're
I
on
checked
our
my
way.
bank account, and there was 5 withdrawal requests that passed.
I've been gone for 8 years.
Then I felt stupid. I'm like, babe, we tried this at work. How did I fall for it at home? It is. So
Just wait for the gentleman to sit down when I get that. Don't want to interrupt their business.
So we spent about 5 minutes just poking
Kind of like a sidebar, right?
places, came off the fence. Even 15 minutes. High school kids.
Right, that's good.
We have a classmate who lives in Cape Cod. So we're on, just going out on the say, hey, we found this house. So, we got a hotel. Somewhere around there.
And he also was told
She ready? Shouldn't wait for the computer to open. We're in control of this, right? You said I did it, right?
I like it when you do it. Go ahead.
Good morning. This is Citrus County Planning and Development Commission hearing for May the 15th, 2025. If you'd like to join us at this time, I invite you to please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Lord, please give us the grace to be understanding, patient, and tolerant. With these attributes, we can conduct our work in a manner which will be pleasing to Thee, our county, and its residents. In the Lord's name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for the courtesy of the applicants, the board, and those around you. If you can please place your cell phones and other devices on mute. And may we get the roll call, please.
the following Planning and Development Commission members are present. Chair Richard Barmez, David Bramblett, first vice chair, Robert Shera, second vice chair, Stuart Bozeman, Jeanette Collins, Michael Facemeyer, alternate Janice Murphy, and school board representative Chuck Dixon.
Got one extra member there. Mr. Bozeman's not here.
Oh, excuse me, Mr. Bozeman is absent.
Thank you. All right, so if any person decides to appeal any decisions made by the commission with respect to any matter considered at this hearing, he or she may need a record of the proceedings for such purpose. He or she may need to ensure that the verbatim record of the proceedings is made, which record would includes the testimony and evidence upon the appeal is to be based. And during the public input portion of the meeting, individuals are given 3 minutes, and representatives of an organization gets 5 minutes. When anyone wishing to speak comes to the podium, please complete the yellow form to hand to the recording secretary, and please print your name, address, and the number of the application for which you are speaking on the form. And the yellow forms can be found at the front podium at the door. If representing an organization, a letter of authorization must accompany the speaker. And comments will be limited to the topics being heard, so please state your name, spell your last name, and give your address for the taped record. At this time, I'm going to open the podium open to the public. This is an opportunity for you to come forward to address this commission on any issue that you may wish, but this is not the time for you to come and speak about the two applications that we're going to be hearing today. But you can come and speak about anything other than what we're going to talk about today.
Mr. Chair, may I? Is this on? Along the lines of ex parte communications, which I know we haven't done that yet, I see some faces, familiar faces from Tuesday's BOCC meeting where we had a group of individuals show up about what they believed was a pending application. Unfortunately, there is no application pending with the county with regard to the Lakeside Golf Course. There may be an application pending at some point in time, but there is not now. So if those folks are here to talk about that golf course, just bear in mind that whatever they say, you can't consider when you later hear that application. So just wanted to put that out there because I see some familiar faces.
Thank you, Madam Attorney. So the podium is now open for the public.
Good morning. She is correct. I am Catherine Spears. I live at 1339 North Timaquan Trail, Inverness, Florida, located in Connell Estates. Our community is concerned about parcel ID 19E18536-21000, located at 4543 East Windmill Drive, Inverness. It has an estimated 157 acres, and it's zoned CL and CLR. Low-intensity coastal and coastal lakes residential. Our primary concern revolves around the proposed increase in housing units, which calls for a thorough evaluation. According to loopnet.com, the land in question is zoned and classified as commercial land and commercial land residential. When I am done with my 3 minutes, if someone could explain to us what Citrus County Zone CL and CLR are, we would appreciate that. On LoopNet, on the site loopnet.com, it was updated May 13th after we spoke in public about the misrepresentations. The county commissioners motioned to ask for false statements to be removed. On loopnet.com, those have been removed. And so I want to highlight some significant other misrepresentations regarding current situations that we have not had any kind of final decision on, and change in zoning. And I would like I said, the question on what CL and CLR mean to our county would be the question that I'm going to ask. We're going to ask that you hold transparent communication regarding decisions on the residential zoning and traffic management, water resource management, and ecological impact when those impact studies come out. From what I can read on loopnet.com, there is already 25,000 cars that currently pass the golf course daily. The road will be updated all the way into Hernando as a 4-lane. So all of those things are coming. I have asked the commissioners to open a conversation on possibly changing the land use, get interested for the community, because it can support golf, walking paths, equestrian trails, disc golf, and dog parks, soccer fields, pickleball courts, those kind of things that would benefit the residents in Inverness, Arlington, Hernando, nearby underserved communities, as well as all Citrus County residents and visitors. I do want to bring to the attention that we have 100-year-old magnificent oak trees.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, good morning. I'm Michelle Bearden, Bearden, 4450 East Windmill Drive. And I'd like to introduce a little bit of our group, Save Our Neighborhood. Could you guys all stand who came today? Thank you very much. We just formed quickly when we saw the golf course immediately, and it was April 17th, so no warning, it was just closed. Now, it had fallen into disrepair, and we knew how this works. They don't take care of it, members drop out, they let them go, and then they let them go to seed, and then it's impossible to put another golf course on it because it takes so much money. We moved here in 2007 because this is the nature coast, and we love the nature here. And the lakeside community, also first known as Canal Lake Estates, was formed in 1979. And I invite you to take a little drive through it. It's beautiful, older homes, some newer homes, but it's a quiet neighborhood. And when we heard that there was this idea that they wanted to build, the owner wants to sell it, right in the middle of our neighborhood, where we have endangered species, we have 3 phosphate mines or pits in there. We have, as she mentioned, the heritage trees all over. And all of a sudden, this peaceful neighborhood where we know that housing prices will drop from 20 to 40% and spoil the tranquility, the serenity of this neighborhood. And God knows we have enough development going on right now. Getting into our community, we only have 1 official entrance. You often have to wait, and it's going to be made worse when 41 comes and they start the construction of the expansion. So we saw what happened to Inverness 4, which is just about a mile away. That was a boondoggle that continues to exist with everybody pointing fingers at each other. And we decided to take the slogan, be proactive, not reactive. And so we're trying to compile our group and get everybody together to let them know that there's 250 homes in there, and putting a new develop in the middle of an established, bucolic, serene, peaceful neighborhood with narrow streets and no sidewalks and hard to get in and out of because of traffic patterns is going to be a complete upsetting. And right now, people can't sell their homes because the uncertainty, and he's already allowing it to get under disrepair. So we've already filed complaints with the county to have him take care of it while we go through this process. And like Catherine said, we're trying to keep it that peaceful neighborhood, leave the developments elsewhere. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, my name's Steve Hughes, and I'm at 1308 North Fox Run Terrace, obviously part of this group. We understand that, because there's no permits, you guys don't have a whole lot you can do other than we want to make sure that, we kind of put you on notice that we are on top of this as a group. And we have our eyes open and our ears open to all the things going on in the neighborhood. And I want to just share with you this listing that basically has drawings of all of this stuff that they have, that they're marketing this property for. And until the other day, it specifically said that the county commissioners and planning board were in favor of this and had already expressed support of a development. And I know that you guys probably didn't go back and shake any hands and say that we will support this. But I just want you to know that there's a lot of stuff going on with this and the reason why we're so concerned, because we love our neighborhood. And, I hate looking out my back door now and seeing a golf course overgrown with weeds and turning brown, and it's not what I bought into 5 years ago. So again, we just want you to be aware that we may be a thorn, and especially if the permits do come in, and first they have to find a buyer who's willing to try to buy a property for $14 million to put a housing development in. So that's where we are. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Last call. We don't answer questions. You can get with the county. The county staff can be able to answer those questions for you.
Mr. Chair?
Madam Attorney.
They can go to the front counter and in the,
In the lobby.
I'm sorry, my brain wasn't working. In the lobby, and there's always a planner of the day that can come out and answer their questions.
Great. I hope that helps you.
I'll be brief, I'm sorry. Pat Farnan, 4450 East Windmill Drive. As my wife said, we moved here in 2007. We moved here because of, we have a place in Tampa. We moved here because we wanted to spend our weekends in the comfort and the serenity of a neighborhood like the one we were at. Plus, I like to play golf. And there was a horse ranch next door. She had horses. It was a lovely setting. And that's why we're here. The one thing that I would say, and one thing that I would ask you to keep in mind is simply this. I understand growth is important. I understand it contributes to tax base. I understand sometimes it helps politically. I understand that it creates opportunity. I'm not an opponent of growth. But there is such a thing as bad growth, of which we have witnessed a couple of incidents here in Citrus County in recent years. Inverness 4, for example, is not something you want to hang your hat on. It's a train wreck. And what I would ask you to consider is simply this. In our contemporaneous world, where development is so important and tax base is so important, and we're also politically divided, I would just like you to know that I think that living in a quiet, serene neighborhood where you can walk your dog, get to know your neighbors, have a peaceful life, that is a viable choice. And it is a viable choice, defendable at levels such as the one you guys are sitting on. It's something to consider. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Chair, can you get him to fill a yellow sheet?
Sir, if you can grab a yellow, sir, the last speaker, if you can grab a yellow paper from the podium and please fill it out. The recording secretary is requesting that, and I apologize that I missed that. So last call for public speaking. All right, seeing none at this time, I'm going to close the public podium down. We're going to continue on with the meeting. With no objections, I would like to, we have a minutes to approve. With no objections from the board, I'd like to amend all three minutes as one motion. With no objection.
So moved.
So we have meeting minutes for February the 6th, 2025, March 6th, 2025, and April 3rd, 2025. Is there any additions, comments, motions?
Move for approval.
Got a motion from Commissioner Facemeyer, second from Commissioner Bramlett. With no further discussions, all in favor to pass, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Any staff announcements?
Yeah, just one in case any applicants that are going to appear before this board or already are watching or listening. It's come to our attention this week that there is a somewhat elaborate email scam using my name and a fake email address. My email address would be citrusbocc.com, not USA, not Google, not Yahoo, requesting some thousands of dollars of payment by wire. Unfortunately, it's very elaborate. It has a long listing of why we charge them thousands for a consultant and thousands for processing. And just understand, our office never solicits payment by wire. We only accept it through the county's formal citrusbocc.com web portal. If anyone has paid that or is thinking about it, give our office a call. Even though I know the email says don't call and doesn't have a phone number, call us. We'll be glad to tell you you do not owe those amounts, and please do not pay by wire. Thank you.
Thank you. Good information. Ex parte communications, Madam Attorney.
Yes, good morning. This is the time when we ask you if you've had any ex parte communications regarding the two applications on the agenda today, and we'll start at the end with Commissioner Dixon.
None.
Site visits.
Site visits.
None.
Site visits.
Site visits.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Now it's time for application CPA/AA/PUD -2024-00024 for local engineering for B&B. If the applicant's present, can make his way to their podium while we get the staff introduction, please.
Yes, sir. Good morning. This is an application to amend the zoning and future land use and establish a planned unit development for a self-storage facility and covered boat RV parking areas. This is an aerial view of the subject property. This is a photo of the subject property. This is looking north from the subject property. This is looking south across West Grover Cleveland Boulevard. Looking east from the subject property. Looking west from the subject property. And this is the proposed master plan as submitted by the applicant. Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. My name's James Manley. I'm the project manager for local engineering, 8425 East Roscoe Court in Floral City, Florida, 34436. Before you this morning is a project situated on approximately 4.7 acres on Grover Cleveland Boulevard in Homosassa. Currently, the parcel is zoned PSO and MDR-MH, with approximately 3 acres of that being zoned PSO and the remaining 1.7 acres zoned MDR-MH in the northern portion of the property. We are requesting that the parcel be redesignated as GNC with PUD. A little bit about the project. Currently, the site has a valid non-conforming use for the parking of vehicles and large trucks. The current entrance is to the southwest corner of the parcel and is mostly lime rock and sand up near the Grover Cleveland entrance area. The existing utilities include a 4-inch sanitary sewer force main and a 12-inch water line that run along Grover Cleveland in front of the property. The owners who are here today would like to propose constructing a 30,000 square foot climate-controlled mini storage facility with 3 separate covered parking areas for RVs and boats. This project would connect to the existing sewer force main and water lines. The letters of adequate capacity from both Citrus County Utilities for the sewer and Homosassa Special Water District for the water have been submitted with this application. Currently, there is no stormwater management system on the site. The predominant flow of stormwater is to the east, to a low area near the intersection of Grover Cleveland and South Lake Terrace. We are proposing to construct a drainage retention area in the northern portion of the property, along with a smaller DRA that will be along the eastern property line in the front of the property. All of these DRAs and stormwater management system would meet county requirements and Southwest Florida Water Management District criteria. Additionally, any and all required biological surveys and environmental studies would be provided by the owner prior to construction. As far as buffers for the surrounding properties, you'll note on page 4 and 5 of your staff report that the proposed buffers along the residential properties to the north are listed as a 25-foot type C buffer, which does not meet land development code standards. However, we are proposing a 25-foot type D buffer with a wall along these property lines as shown on the site data in the right-hand table that you will see there. We did list that as a 25-foot type D with a wall. However, it did not, the labeling unfortunately didn't make it to the drawing that you're seeing on the site plan view. We're not requesting a deviation from the LDC standards. In summary, we believe that this project will be a benefit for the surrounding community as it provides increased buffering for the adjacent residential sites compared to what is currently there now. It will improve the aesthetics compared to the existing state of the area at this time. And finally, this site has been used for heavy truck parking for nearly 30 years. And the owners are wanting to enhance the property, upgrade it to something that's a much nicer facility and would be more useful for the local community. Thank you. Is there any other questions that we can address?
Does the staff have any questions for the applicant?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Manley. I was going to ask you about the landscape buffer, but you clarified that for me. So my only other question is, are you familiar with the conditions in the staff report, and do you have any issues with those?
No, sir. We're fully ready to comply with any of those standards.
All right. No further questions.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions for the applicant?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Shara.
Good morning. Just a question on, or clarification on the type D buffer with the wall. Are you proposing that type D only be located adjacent to residential areas, or are you proposing that would follow your entire property up to Grover Cleveland?
The wall would just be around the residential zoning areas, the adjacent residential zoning areas.
And the area immediately to the east, which is currently PSO?
That would just be with a 5-foot solid strip. However, there would be a security fence that would be in that area.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Shara. Any other questions for the applicant? I do have one. You mentioned there that you're going to put a DRA on the east side of the property line?
Yes, sir. No, sir. It'd be on the east side of the project.
Or east side of the project?
Yes.
So on that, with that being said, with the size of the buildings that you got coming in there, that doesn't leave you very much room for a DRA unless my math is different.
No, sir. It would be dealt with during the storm management design portion of the project. The site would be divided off with predominantly most of the flow going to the north and just some minor drainage that would be coming from Grover Cleveland in that southeast corner of the project.
All right, thank you. Any other questions for the applicant? All right, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
We get the staff to come forward to make their presentation, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Alyssa Morris, planner. I'll be presenting application CPA AA PUD 2024-00024. So I wanted to first take a kind of look at the surrounding zonings and land uses. The subject property, as you can see, is a PSO and a medium density residential. To the west of the property is additional PSO and then residential. And then to the east is all commercial. This was kind of designed as a buffer. PSO allows offices and less intense commercial uses. So it's kind of a buffer between the commercial and the residential uses. These are some pictures of the site. It does have a valid non-conforming use for the parking of vehicles. These are some additional pictures. There is still a residence on the property in the MDR section. It does appear, however, though, that the approved VNU was for parking the vehicles in the PSO portion. It does look like it has possibly encroached into the MDR portion as well. These are some residences in the surrounding neighborhood. These are some storage facilities. There are roughly 7 storage facilities existing already on Grover Cleveland. Some are permitted, some are not. I believe I found about 3 of the 7 that were not permitted or didn't have any permitted use at all. This is an overlay of where the coastal high hazard area is on the site. Just to clarify, they're rezoning this general commercial, which does not allow for this use without an approved PUD. The use is also restricted in some coastal high hazard areas. And just to show you where that is on the site plan. And this is the site plan as submitted by the applicant. So we have the 30,000 square foot mini storage building and then the 3 additional RV and boat covered storage areas. And to summarize, staff has concerns about the compatibility of the project and the intensity of the project. Thank you.
Thank you. Does the applicant have any questions for staff? Does the board have any questions for staff? Commissioner Shara.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to address your staff concerns regarding compatibility and intensity.
Yes.
I'd like to dig into that a little bit. If we look at the drawing, several slides before, which is shows the residential versus the subject property. Several more. There we go. Thank you.
Yes.
It looks like immediately to the west that those are designated as red.
Yes,
number
that
one.
is general commercial.
That's general commercial. And then to the right, which would be to the east, which is shown as vacant, that is currently PSO, correct?
Correct.
All right. So the concern about intensity and/or compatibility would be those areas marked in the brownish color, which are residential.
Those are residential, and then also the yellow is a residential mixed use as well. So
Okay.
those are all residentially designated as well.
So when we look at this, and the applicant is proposing that they would install a Type D, 25-foot Type D with a wall, which was not, which is a clarification this
It is a
morning.
clarification,
Does
yes.
that reduce any of your concerns related to compatibility and intensity?
I believe staff's biggest concern, it does a little bit, but staff's ultimate concern is that this is meant to be a buffer with less intense commercial uses. This is an industrial use in what would be a PSO zoned. So changing it to general commercial and having a PUD for an industrial use is really the main concern.
And that would be for those items that are permissible by right under a PUD?
By right, well, it's correct.
Okay.
But PSO allows for less intense commercial uses. It allows for offices, some retail, no drive-through restaurants. It's a very limited commercial uses to, again, act as a buffer between the commercial and the residential designations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Shara. Any other questions for staff? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, this time the public portion of the meeting will now be open. If there's anyone present who would like to speak on this application, please come forward to the podium. As a reminder, individuals will have 3 minutes and organizations will have 5 minutes. So when speaking on this application, please address this board. If you have any documentation that you want to be entered into record, please provide a copy to the recording secretary. Anyone? No one? All right, this time I'm gonna close the public portion down of the meeting, and I'm gonna bring it back, the discussion back to the board. Very quiet up here.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Facemeyer.
I plan to support this application.
Thank you, Commissioner Facemeyer. Commissioner Shara.
Mr. Chair, on the site visit, one of my significant concerns had to do with the applicant's unwillingness to be consistent with other applications we've seen related to these types of facilities with the Type D with a wall, Type D buffer with a wall. They've now said that they were prepared to, in fact, install that and not take any exception to staff, to any other staff condition. It does appear to be, in my mind, consistent with the general area and compatible with the general area. So I would plan to support this.
Thank you, Commissioner Shara. Commissioner Bramlett.
Yes, sir. I would be in favor of this application as well. I think although it is an up zone of a property in a buffer area per se that we talk about quite often, I believe that many storages are underzoned, I believe, or miszoned, in my opinion. You know, it's because it's called a warehouse, mini storage warehouse. You know, it's clearly not an industrial business that would create any noise, vibration, undue stress and pollution with lights and I'm sorry, more for the noise for the surrounding area. I think that the current use of the property is probably a little bit more of a nuisance to the surrounding area, so I would be in favor of this application.
Thank you, Commissioner Bramlett. Commissioner Collins.
Yeah, likewise, I'm in favor now that the applicant is willing to meet all of the required buffering requirements. The fact that the site does have a valid nonconforming use, even though it's unclear as to whether it's the entire site, but still, I believe that this particular use has a little bit of a less impact than with all of those, the buffering in place as it abuts the residential. I don't think that this would have any major impact. There's nobody in the audience that came up to with concerns, so yeah, I would be in favor.
Thank you, Commissioner Collins. Commissioner Murphy.
I'm also in favor of the application.
Thank you, and I too am in favor of this application since the conditions, the suggested conditions was approved by the applicant. My concerns was number 6 and number 2, and that's been resolved, so I'm in favor of this application as well.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Shara.
For purpose of a motion.
For a purpose of a motion.
The Planning and Development Commission finds application number CPA AA PUD 2024-00024 consistent with the Citrus County Comprehensive Plan and Citrus County Land Development Code, and that the board recommends approval with conditions of the application to the Board of County Commissioners based on the evidence and testimony presented and the staff report and conclusions regarding this petition.
And I second that. So we have a first by Commissioner Shara, a second by myself. Any further discussions on this application? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And Mr. Chair,
6-0.
I'm sorry, this is scheduled for discussion by the Board of County Commissioners on June 23rd. That's a Monday at 5:01 p.m.
Thank you. All right, now it's time for V-2024-00005 for Rodney Beebe. If you're present, please work your way to the podium.
Good morning, sir. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. I'm Rodney Beebe. That's B-E-E-B-E. I'm the applicant. I'm applying to within the setbacks of the county. Our 21-foot 7, I believe the inches are, I can't quite read what we wrote there, is mainly a post that is holding the stairwell that puts us closer than to hold the back porch of the home. We've refigured this already once. Once we found our setbacks, we came to the county, asked for the average setback for the existing houses to us. We are the last lot on this street in this development everywhere. There's no more homes going to be built here because we own the last lot. So that's what we're asking for. We're not the other end. There's only homes on one side of this water canal that we have here. And basically that's what we're asking for.
All right. Does staff have any questions for the applicant?
No, sir.
Does the board have any questions for the applicant? Commissioner Shara.
Good morning. Mr. Beebe.
Sir.
Are you aware that what you are proposing is not in compliance with the setback requirements from the high water mark?
I'm not following you as far as the high water mark. I mean, we're building to the elevation.
No, I don't want to confuse. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry.
The distance from the canal to the side of your structure is not in compliance with the current zoning. Are you aware of that?
Yes, sir. That's why I've been talking with the staff, and they did an average setback, and I think we're within just a few feet of that. But we actually, in the 6 homes there, we have one that is at this point. In relation to the 2 homes on each side of us, just because if you go back a few pictures, you'll see that when you're seeing the lot, that there's a little niche in our property, which makes us just a touch closer the way our seawall is built there.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, we're trying to put as much house as we can, obviously, but we've given ourselves great setbacks from each side, from the north and the south of the existing residence. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? I do have a question for you. I just don't know where it's at this moment. My goodness. One of the things were you familiar with the public input that was that
No,
we were
sir,
provided with?
I know of nothing. I got a letter in the mail, and I talked on the phone with your staff, and they say that the meeting was today. I didn't get any public input. Nobody sent me anything. We've had nothing come to us.
All right, and then the other thing is you didn't address the stormwater or the runoff.
Well, we submitted all that, yes, sir. I've had drawings put in and submitted all that with what this final site plan would be of the retaining of the water before it naturally, obviously, seeps into the ground. We submitted all that, yes, sir. I'm working with stormwater Paul, I can't say his last name right now. I want to say Newman, but I don't believe that's correct. Furman, Paul Furman is our stormwater management person. We've submitted that. And this is our second set of proposed drawings for this. We haven't got a complete set because obviously we want to see if we can build it this direction. We've turned the house to meet this, to get as much home as we could. Obviously, I think we're under 1,400 square feet here now, or give or take a foot.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Shara.
One second, if I could,
Yes,
a
sir.
follow-up question. I want to make sure that I'm reading the attached drawing correctly. It's the drawing that's up on the board right now. The crosshatch area, which is designated proposed residence, there is a dashed line that runs the length of that. Now I'm on the side of the canal. And if you follow that, the outside perimeter of the house or the structure, you'll see that I see the steps, which would obviously be access to the residence. And then there's a dashed line.
Yes, sir.
Is that dashed line the wall of the proposed structure?
The dashed line is the home. Everything that would be to the canal side is a porch, is nothing more than a screened in, and obviously we're, I think, 12, 6, 13 feet off the ground. The dashed line is the main structure of the home. There are going to be columns coming down, and then from the dashed line going to the canal is nothing more than a screened in porch. And the stairwells come off the north end of the screened in porch, and that point of where we're showing the 21'7" is the post that holds that corner of that enclosed porch area, covering the stairwell with roof.
So I know these dimensions aren't going to be totally accurate because we're looking at an angle here, but you'd have 21'7" plus 9 feet, give or take, to the edge of the house itself.
Yes, sir. But at that far corner, we're much greater from the seawall or the setback. I don't have that dimension.
No, I see what you're saying.
Yes, but we're much greater. Now, if you take the 21 and the 9, that puts us at 31 to the structure.
Well, that's what I'm trying to get to.
Yes, sir.
What
Yes,
these
I'm
numbers
following
actually
you
look
now.
like. And then
Yes,
there
sir.
is a porch that would be then over, if you will, would be extending out another approximately 9 feet from the edge of the
Correct.
residence itself.
I would say, yes, sir, you're correct, that we would be in the roughly 30 feet from the seawall to the structure, and then we put the 9-foot porch on.
And that would be elevated. I know there's an elevation here. I
Yeah.
don't have it in front of me.
Everything's the
Approximately
same.
12 feet.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay.
It'd be
thank
same floor level as the home.
Got it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Share. Any other questions for the applicant?
I have one, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Facemeyer.
Mr. Beebe, are you able to reconfigure this proposed residence to meet the code?
If I do, we wouldn't have a porch. I mean, that's, most asset of anybody's home on the water is to be able to sit and look at it. There's nothing underneath it except, like I said, the columns to hold it. We originally were a lot closer, according to the way, if you look at the drawing, how the canal actually makes a little jog at our property line into the home of the people to the north of us, the Millers. We've turned it and got our setbacks to try to fit within as close as we could. We're asking to save the porch because that's the area we want to be at. That's the looking south, or looking east, so we don't have a sunset in our face.
I have another question. Are you familiar with the condition, or one of the charges that this board is challenged with, one of the challenges that we're charged with is to pass judgment on these applications, and one of them, in your case, has to be a hardship to the land, not to you, not to the size of your house or the porch or anything like that. Is there a hardship to this property that we need to understand, that we don't now?
Not that I know of. I mean, I don't know what the hardship would be. This is a piece of land that was previously owned by a doctor, and the county allowed them to, because he owned an island, allowed him to go ahead and install these seawalls and boat houses and stuff prior to, so he had access to his other island that was further out in the water. And so I wouldn't know of what hardship we're talking about. I'm kind of confused.
Because I noticed on your application that there was a question that asks, what is the hardship? Why are you asking for this variance? What is the hardship? And you left that blank.
I'm a rookie at this, sir. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've never built in Citrus County, and I'm looking at, like I said, the hardship is to have a back porch on the home and have a covered stairwell. We had the porch going a major majority of the home, and then when we spoke that we were way too close, we shortened the porch another 10 feet, give or take, and to try to put this to meet the average setback within a few feet. Even though in the average setback, there is one that is at 21 feet. So considering the post is what is gonna be there that we're looking at. It's not a wall, it's not anything to oppose somebody else's view, is what I'm getting at.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Facemeyer. Any other questions for the applicant?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Collins.
good morning.
Come on.
In determining the waterfront setback, the 21.7 feet, I'm looking at the property appraiser's information, which was used, I believe, for ownership, but it indicates that it has a riprap seawall with a concrete cap. Typically, your measurement would be taken to the outside of that concrete cap. Will you be retaining that? Are you going to be making any changes to the
cap?
To the seawall? Yeah.
No, ma'am. We're not.
Okay.
No, ma'am. That's going to be that's existing. That, like I said, that was put in previous owner through the county. We're going to, as you can see, where our stormwater is going to be down, and we're going to make that retention there to hold the water is for it to naturally, permeate into the canal. But no, that's going to continue all the way to the adjacent property to the south of us.
Okay. And we did receive a letter from a neighbor that their primary concern, of course, is stormwater runoff. And I see that you have your stormwater system. What is the foundation of the home? Is it going to be a stilted home, or
Yes,
is it?
ma'am. It'll be a concrete stilted home, piles driven in. We did the soil samples and testing. We've had that should have been submitted. It should be here with the county stating what the soil is, and it would be pilings, concrete, and then wood structure on top of that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Any other questions? All right, thank you. We get the staff to come forward and make their presentation, please.
Good morning, Kelly Caudell, planner. I am presenting variance application V 2024-00005, which is a request for waterfront setback less than 35 feet. This is an aerial view of the subject property. This showing the zoning of CLR of the subject property as well as the surrounding areas. This is a view of the subject property from the street, a view of the waterfront. These are the residences that directly abut the proposed site. And I apologize, the pink arrow has the incorrect setback amount. It should be the 21 feet as is requested, but this is showing the closest homes and their setbacks. And proposed site plan. That's all.
I think you also want to point out he does have a reduced average for the front on the
Yes.
site plan.
Yes, they do. It does fall within the average.
Right, but it's supposed to be 25. He's got a
Mhm.
reduced average of 18.
Yes.
And then the rear, I know there was some discussion by the board about the screen room. That does count. That's part of the 21 feet. It has to be met. Steps have to be met. Everything has to meet that waterfront setback. So using our closest and our averages, it would be 27 feet, and the request is for 21. Just summing up there.
Thank you.
She just answered all my questions.
Thank you, Joanna.
Is there any questions for staff?
Mr. Chair. Joanne, I'm just asking for clarification. I pulled from the LDC Chapter 2, 2300 E, and E has 3 subparts. In the part that confuses me a little bit related to the porch, it just says proposed structures that are on natural grade, such as slabs or decks without railings, or in-ground pools, shall be set back a minimum of 15 feet from the high water. So, and then it goes on to say, for purposes of this section, natural grade shall include those deck structures that are no more than 12 inches above grade. That's pretty clear. In this particular case, this structure is elevated nominally 12 feet by the drawing, not 12 inches, but 12 feet. And so you have a porch that then would extend. If that porch was at grade on concrete, it could then extend to 15 feet. Is that correct?
No, because it's for slabs on grade. It's not for screen rooms on grade. So that's the difference. So it would have to be a slab with no covering, no walls, no posts, basically just a flat slab patio. Yes, they can have that up to 15 feet. That's not what's proposed. But if they took the deck and lowered it, it still would have to meet it. The fact that it's elevated or not is not the issue. It's a room with a screen room. Yes, they can enclose a screen room later. A lot of people do. They go to the vinyl and then they go to the glass. But they could do that if you approve the setback.
Okay. And then the 2 tests that are in items 2 and 3, it's the greater of the average of the 6 closest homes, or the...
No closer than on either side.
Then no closer than
his
the-
average is 25.
Right.
No closer is 27, so he has to go with the 27. If the 2 people on the side were 25 too, we could ask for 25, still asking for 21.
Okay, and it's 27 because the greater of, the furthest back
Correct,
adjoining
no
or abutting
closer than on
property.
either side, yes.
I got you. So
Which has worked. You guys have not seen a lot of variances. It's working pretty good.
I don't think Mr. Shera was on the board before when we had all of the variance applications.
Ah,
He's
yes.
he's only been on the board since
meet these things before the standard
Which is
exists,
why,
before the standard
which is
exists,
why it's,
before the standard
which is why
exists.
it's written that you can do an average, a neighborhood average to fit the neighborhood, but no closer than either side because people want to look up and down the water. Yes,
Got it. Thank you.
you're on top of it. Sorry, Kelly.
That's okay.
Thank you. Any other questions for staff? I have a couple. One I want to ask, do you know what the final height of the structure is, because we are in a coastal high hazard area, right? So the height that we're provided is at the bottom of the gable, but not the gable height. And do we include the gable height in the height of the building code?
I am not familiar with that.
So in the coastal high hazard, you have the 2 stories above finished floor, but no greater. We do include belfries.
It's not included in the drawing, so I was assuming that it probably was left out unintentionally.
Yeah, they would have to, at the time of permitting, show the entire thing, yes, the top of that roof.
Just wanted to say that, and then the existing structures that are on the property, is that bear a problem with the building code, with him building the home?
Well, the docks that are in existence were approved by administrative approval, but there is no existing structure out there now. I think in the picture, what is shown there, it might have been an RV, some kind of camper that was parked on the spot, but there are no actual structures on the lot.
So this is not including any accessory buildings or anything, just
No.
the structure of it?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from the board? All right. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
The public portion of the meeting will now be open. If there's anyone present who would like to speak on this application, please come forward to the podium. And as a reminder, individuals will have 3 minutes and organizations will have 5 minutes. So when speaking on this application, please address this board. If you have any documentation that you want to be entered into record, please provide a copy to the recording secretary. There's nobody here.
That's but
You chased them all off.
I'm lonely.
Well, I probably should have looked at while I was reading. Habit. So no public input, so I'm gonna close that public portion back down as quick as I opened it, and we're gonna move on to discussions with the board. Any further discussions from you?
Yes, sir. I would just say it's unfortunate, the situation, but I am not going to be in favor of this application. The hardship is the property is the smallest property in the entire area. I believe that it's a blank slate. The property could be redeveloped and designed to meet the setbacks. As a longstanding member on the board, we've seen a lot of variances, and Ms. Coutu is 100% correct. We spent a lot of time working on the variances. It's been nice not having to deal with this week in and week out when we're here, so I would not be in favor of this application.
Thank you, Commissioner Bramlett. Commissioner Facemeyer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to echo the words of my colleague, Commissioner Bramlett. Those of us who sat through countless applications on waterfront setbacks feel the pain of both the applicant and the board members. I believe that the applicant can reconfigure this to meet the challenges of this lot. I understand why he wants to build a nice home there. I'm sympathetic, but staff and to a lesser degree, this board spent a lot of time to reconfigure the regulations and the zoning conditions for the coastal areas. I appreciate the work that they did, and I think we ended up with a good product. And unfortunately, I'm going to not be in favor of this application.
Thank you, Commissioner Facemeyer. Commissioner Shara.
Mr. Chair, I have to also be consistent with the other members of the commission. And I do feel bad about that, but look, we have the standards. These standards have been hard fought, and we have to not hesitate to apply these in this type of situation. So as unfortunate as it is over this 9 feet of porch, I'm not going to be able to support it.
Thank you, Commissioner Shara. Anyone else? Well, I will just add that I'm in total agreement with my colleagues. We did work hard on changing the variance ordinance and codes. I believe that the finding of facts was all negative, unfortunately, for this project. And I do believe that the house can be shrunk or changed to meet the required setback, so I would not be in favor as well.
Mr. Chair, for the purpose of a motion,
Commissioner Bramlett, for purpose of a motion, please.
the Planning and Development Commission finds application number V-2024-00005 inconsistent with the Citrus County Land Development Code and is not in keeping with the intent and policies of the Citrus County Comprehensive Plan, and that this board denies the application based upon the evidence and testimony presented and the staff report and conclusions regarding this petition.
Second.
So we got a first by Commissioner Bramlett, a second by Commissioner Shara. Any further discussions on this matter? All in favor for a motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you, sir. All right, do we have any staff announcements, comments?
Do you have anything, Mr. Land? Okay, before I start, okay. I don't want to ignore him here. Your next two meetings in June, you've got 3 applications on each agenda. On your second meeting in June, there is the Cardinal LDC update for the IMA. It's been a long time coming. We adopted comprehensive plan standards, but not land development code standards. So that will be your first crack at that. Also in July, your first meeting in July will be the Pine Ridge Golf Course coming back before you. Some of you have heard that before. It will be treated as a new application because it has been more than a year since that application was considered by the board. So not slowing down. We still have a lot of applications ahead of you. But I was serious. The waterfront's really working well. You guys did good. It's nice to not see them too often.
Thank you. Mr. Landon, do you have anything?
No, sir.
Mr. Landon, we just my organization wants to thank you for all the webcasts and the webinars and stuff that you've been putting on YouTube, with especially the one with Mr. Farmer.
Yes.
They're quite impressed, as well as I was. So thank you, and wish you can continue to do so.
Good. I think they're going to focus specifically this month on storm preparation. So you'll see a couple of members from the building department that work hand in hand with FEMA and Florida Emergency Management in preparation for June 1.
I think that's tremendous that you're doing that for the county and the people here.
Thank you.
And believe me, there's a lot of people watching it.
Thanks.
YouTube star, who knew?
Anything else?
Good question.
Hopefully everybody watches the BOCC meetings. Those are fun.
Oh, yeah.
I do watch them, actually. But I can watch them on tape delay, so that's good. A quick question on the GIS. I know that system, that portal's down. Any feedback on when that'll be coming back?
We just got a notice this morning about some issues system-wide. Go ahead.
Yeah, so they've updated many of our servers upstairs. I don't speak IT. But they had required additional power, and I think we've had some power surges in the last couple of days with Duke. And when that happens, I guess when power dips, it takes a second for our generator to kick in, and when that happens, it doesn't kick in fast enough, so it has to reboot. So as long as we have consistent power, everything should be back up and running. I think they're working on acquiring some backup batteries today so that will no longer continue. But
Yeah, I was going to say, there are technical solutions for that,
Yes.
but that's another life.
Yeah, GIS still isn't up. Our permitting system is hit or miss. If anybody's watching and tried, give it a second. You might get in a minute later, but the GIS still is not. It's still down, and we know that.
And I do want to say, for anybody that's listening, as far as the building department, if you can't get in, just call us. We can do things manually. We can work out of trucks with cell phones and do inspections. So don't be deterred if the system is down and you have to get something done. Just give us a call.
Thanks.
Right, thank you. Anything else?
I have a question for legal. So I was watching BOCC and the discussion went, there was a discussion on the quasi-judicial and asking you to kind of revisit that ordinance. And I'm very familiar with quasi-judicial, but you did talk about that it is the desire that if you were to have a conversation, you have to document everything and turn it in. And then my other one is, after a particular board has rendered its determination on something, what if somebody approaches you after? I just want to make sure, because I still always sorry, can't talk about it, but.
I think each commissioner has their own personal preference and as far as after the application's been heard. There is some thought that perhaps someone, for this board in particular, if someone is, you recommend approval or denial, it goes to the board and it goes the opposite way at the board, they may have to redesign and come back. I'm very conservative when it comes to these matters, and so I would always suggest it would be the better practice to explain to them that you're on the planning board and things outside of the hearings you really don't want to discuss. And they're always welcome to come and speak during open to the public here where it's all on record if that happens. So what we're dealing with at the BOCC level is our quasi-judicial ordinance and state law and Florida statutes. Right now, our quasi-judicial ordinance is it leaves a little to be desired, because when I ask you for your disclosures, usually you just say site visit or yes, or site visit or no, and there's not an elaborate discussion of what actually the communication was, other than site visit. The same happens at the BOCC level when they just say yes or no. The statute, so the case law says that anything that happens outside of the hearing is presumed to be prejudicial to the proceedings. That's a hard line in the case law. The legislature, following that line of cases, said, well, we want to give some latitude to elected officials if they choose to allow for ex parte communications. And if they are going to allow for ex parte communications, there's a very strict set of rules of what you must do as a county in our example. And so there's the Jennings case and that line of cases which says no ex parte. Well, it doesn't say no ex parte. It says if you have ex parte, it's presumed prejudicial. So in my world, that means don't have it. And then the statute which says, okay, if an elected official is going to have a communication, they must follow these very strict set of guidelines. Our ordinance does not follow that strict set of guidelines. And so there was a discussion at the board level. Commissioner Davis had an agenda item where she, at the time the agenda item was prepared, wanted to go to more towards the Jennings case law, which would mean no ex parte communication. I think that their discussion kind of evolved a little bit, and I'm not exactly sure where they landed. But if we are going to adopt the statute, you're going to have to make very explicit disclosures, and it will have to be made part of the record. I would suggest, as other communities have done, that we have an actual a document, a form, that if you have a communication, you have to fill out the form, and the form is going to require things such as, the name of the person, who was there, who was in attendance, what you talked about. In more specifics, did you talk about impervious surface? Did you talk about wetland setbacks? Did you talk about waterfront setbacks? Something to where it would have a meaningful, it would be meaningful to someone who wanted to look at it. So there are those two lines, and ours is somewhere in the middle. So at this point in time, there is no requirement that you make an explicit disclosure of what you talked about. I don't know where the board is going to land. So at this point in time, I would still encourage you not to have ex parte communications, because it just starts the whole ball rolling, if you will.
I'll offer my 2 cents, and that is, it's fine the way it is. We just don't talk to anybody, and if they change it, that's still going to be my policy. I'm not talking. I don't have to fill out forms. So.
Yes, sir.
Well, unfortunately, no one's approached me about anything. So that's good for
me.
Good. But the question is, you've got developers in the community and builders, and we live in this community. And it seemed that the line of demarcation was when an application is filed. So that was part of the discussion the other day that I was reading into it. So, before an application is filed, and you made a clarification that, look, be careful, because applications can be filed, they can be withdrawn, they can, then they can be refiled at a later date. So is there a list of applications and when they're filed, or is the filing date what we should be using? Because people, if people approach us and say, hey, you're on the commission, what about? That's really easy for me. I say, Joanna. You know,
So
that's
so-
really easy.
So just as I'm the legal advisor to the Board of County Commissioners, part of my duties as the county attorney is to be the legal advisor to this board. So my advice to you all would be, at this point in time, it does not matter whether there is an application pending or not, because that's simply a formality. If someone knows they are about to file an application, or they've had discussions with staff, or they've had discussions with engineers, architects, and so forth, they're planning. They're planning to do something. So at this point in time, I would always, on the conservative side, advise you that don't talk about anybody, about any plans they have to develop where they may come before your board.
It's good advice. I have one suggestion. I've been on this board now for whatever it is, a year and 5 months, not quite. One of the things I'd like to see is a seminar for the members of this board. It could be voluntary to attend, which would be a workshop on, where we stand in terms of ordinance, regulation, law, just these kind of topics that are here.
We've had those before, and I guess maybe it's time to schedule another one. I'll dust off the research, make sure it's current, and we'll go through that. And it has changed, I believe, since the last time we did it, because one of the things that you all dealt with so much in the past was waterfront setbacks and variances, and now we hardly see variances. So I will need to change up the presentation a little bit, and
Well, one of the things in
we'll do that.
specific is the relationship between this board and staff, and you, in questions. We know that we can't talk amongst ourselves, sunshine, but we do have questions. And if it's a general question related to code or comprehensive plan, or how do I read E1 related to, a deck, for instance, am I permitted to talk to Joanna or
So-
her team to get that clarified? Or do we have to wait in this meeting in a public forum and raise that issue?
Well, I would say you don't have to wait till this meeting. You can always you can always ask me, always, about any question that you might have. I may or may not know the answer. And if I don't, I know where to go to get the answers. But in a quasi-judicial proceeding, the county staff is a party acting on behalf of the county. The applicant is a party, and then any potential interveners are parties. So you should not be communicating with any parties to an application. And so I would say you shouldn't talk to staff about any application that you know of. Again, it's, there's that line of whether there's something pending or not. But if you know of an application, or you know of something that's coming, you don't want to talk to staff about it. Talk to me, and I can absolutely talk to them. I can find out what the story is. The issue that we had today with the members of the public. Nobody really knew about that until they showed up Tuesday. So I did some questioning of staff between then and now. So that's why I knew what that was about. So if you're just asking a general question about the LDC or the comp plan, has nothing to do with an application, you heard something on the street that sounded odd to you or didn't make sense to you, you can absolutely ask them. You just don't want to ask them about anything in particular.
Thank you, Denise.
And if I said anything wrong, y'all can.
It's recorded. They got it. Any other questions or discussions? That's a very good ending. I like that. You should do that at the end of every meeting.
I hope I don't have to remind you about
this
this every meeting. Yeah.
All right, with no further business,